Hello, second graders. So we are going to make a new project, and I'm going to show you a little example of it right here. And it is going to involve clay, so you're going to get to play around with some clay. But we're going to make a bowl that's like our hands holding it up. So we're going to use this as a little mold. And what I would like you to do is trace your hands like this. So basically, I put my hand with my fingers together, okay? I put my hand with my fingers together like this, and I kept my pencil straight up and down, and I went around my fingers, okay? And then at the bottom, it's open where my wrist is, but I'm just gonna close it off like that, okay? I'm gonna do that on both hands, okay? Now, if you're having a hard time using your non-dominant hand, the one that you don't write with, to trace, what you can do is trace two of the hand that's easier for you, and then we'll just flip them over so that they look like they have the thumbs facing each other. Or actually, since we're going to do it like our hands are out, our thumbs will be on the outside. Okay, so how we're going to do this, I'm going to cut this real quick, and you just want to cut it right on the line. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. So I have cut out my hands right on the line. You need to be real slow and careful so that you can cut on the line, because you want your hands to look like both your hands, okay? Now, how we're going to place these is with the thumbs out, like that, okay? So that when we hold them like this, it looks like our hands are together like this, okay? But we're not done with these yet, but we're going to move on to these, okay? I'm going to take my chunk of clay, and I'm going to pound it into a flatter form, okay, because this is a little too thick. So the key, notice I push my sleeve up because you don't want clay on your sleeve. You're going to use the heel of your hand, which is this part, and we're just going to lightly tap both back and forth. Once we get to the end, we're going to flip it. Now, see how it kind of sticks? That's why we got to flip it pretty often, because we don't want it to stick down tight, and then we can't get it off, okay? And I'm going to move it over a little bit, and I'm going to pound it back and forth. Get to the end, and what do? Flip it. Move it to the end, up and down. And yes, it's kind of noisy. And I'm not pounding super, super hard. I'm just pounding hard enough to lightly push out the shape. Because notice how it's starting to flatten out and it's getting bigger? That's what we want. So now I've gotten to the end and I'm going to flip it again. But see how it's stuck a little bit? There's a little bit of clay on there. If I pound too hard, or if I keep on pounding when I should flip, it's going to stick. And then we can't get it off. Okay, I've gotten to the end. This is where I can start checking it for the thickness. It's still a little bit thick, so maybe one more time. Let's see. Yep. Okay. Okay, see that? Flip it carefully. Still sticking just a little bit, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt it. Okay, I think it's probably thin enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to smooth it out, just so I have a nice, flat, even surface to work with. And I'm just using my fingers like this to just press out any air bubbles or holes or rough areas, just kind of smoothing them out. And we're going to add texture to that, so I'm not going to worry about my finger marks that are in there right now. check it one more time to make sure it peels up easy. Yep, and it does. So now I'm going to take my hands that I cut out and I'm going to place them on there and make sure that I can get them in the whole place. Okay, I might need to move them around, like maybe I want to move one here and one here, or flip it upside down so that I can fit it all. You want to make sure your hands fit completely. And then we're going to take what's called a cleaning tool, and it has a curved end on one end and a blade on the other. This blade is very sharp. Please use it only on the clay. Okay, that's the only place you use it. Okay, we are going to cut around our hand paper, the paper hand. Okay, I'm going to just get down here a little bit closer so that you can see. I'm going to put it straight up and down, and I'm just going to slide it through the clay along the outside edge of the hand. Okay, just carefully following my cut paper. Okay, see, I've had to start over a couple of times because I got off of my line. See how I'm having to turn and come back in? Then start again up here. Hold that paper down. Okay. Okay, I've gone all the way around my hand. See? Cut through. You want to make sure that you're poking it down all the way to the board and cutting down against the board. That way it'll just peel right up. Okay, then we have to do the other one. I'm just going to put it right beside this one. I'm going to start here. Take your time. Make sure you get right around your edges. And notice that I'm kind of holding the paper going along with my knife. Okay. And now I can throw my hand pieces away because I'm done with them. Okay, as long as I have cut all the way through the clay to the board, I'm going to be fine. Okay, I can peel this excess clay off. I can keep my hands right there on the board. Okay, and then this is going to be put in a bag for us. Okay, we can just kind of crush it up like that. Put it off to the side. Okay, so that's how my hands look for thickness. Okay, and now I'm going to start adding some textures. Okay, now this bowl that I'm making is for my husband, and so he likes to fish, and I'm going to press some fish in there. I'm hoping to make this a bowl that he can put his change in. So it'll hold all of his change and maybe his wallet and his watch and things like that that he takes off before he goes to bed. Okay, notice what I'm doing here. I'm kind of tapping the edges, and that's just smoothing them off so that they don't have such a harsh edge. Okay, so I'm just kind of rounding them by just tapping them. So see what that did? It made them nice and rounded. They'll be nice and smooth that way. I can do that on the other side too. If I carefully peel it up and lay it down on the other side, see that, how it's really kind of sharp there? If I just tap my finger on the edge, it'll round it out and make it nice and soft. And that'll be inviting to put things in. If it's harsh and sharp, then, and we cut ourselves when we try to get something out of our bowl, then it's not very inviting. And we want our bowl to be inviting. To say to people, hey, you can put your change in here. You can put your keys in here. This will be really nice. Okay. So see how nice and smooth that is? That's nice and rounded. It's going to be really good. Okay, there's a little gap right here, so I'm just going to smooth that out. Okay, smooth any areas. Okay, so now I've got all these different textures I want to show you. I got all these like rubbery textures, okay? And I've picked one that has fish on it because my husband likes to fish. So I'm going to just press some of these fish into the edges of my hands. Okay, well, they're not showing up very well, so I'll use a different one. The fish, see, you want to choose something that has a nice deep edge, and for some reason the fish aren't very deep. That would be probably a good texture rubbing, but it's not working on the clay very well. So I'm going to pick this one. This one's got some cool things in it, and see what it does. Okay, I'm just kind of pressing down. Oh, look at that there. I've got some cool little designs. And I'm just going to make several of them in different places. And I'm going to do different ones on the other hand. And you can do different things too. Like I'm going to use this little thing with a heart. And there are other shapes too that you can pick from. And I'm going to put the heart right in the center. Press down in there like that. Because I love him. And then I'm just going to put little dots using the end of it just around the heart, just to have some texture there. And you don't have to push real hard. If you push too hard and you squish all the way down through your hand, then it's not going to look very good. But you can press a little bit. Okay? And then I think I will use these stars on the other side. Okay, and then I'll put a heart on this one. Some dots. You can add more texture if you want. There are more things that you can press in there if you want. Okay, and now comes the time when we're going to actually make our bowl. Okay. I'm going to carefully peel this up off of the board. Now, if you've pressed really hard with your textures, it's going to want to stick a little bit, so we're going to be real careful with this. Now, remember, we want our thumbs out, so that means your thumbs have to be on the outside of the bowl. And we're just going to lay them gently in. Now, I'm going to lay it kind of like it's like down halfway into the bowl, like that. Okay, and then this one, carefully peel it up, and we're going to lay this one kind of overlapping it. Press that down into the bowl. Okay, and now that I look at it, I kind of want to move it because see what's happening? I got my fingers clear up here, and there's a big gap down here. So I'm going to peel that back up, and I'm going to move this down a little bit. There we go. See, because I want this part to be touching this edge and this not to be hanging over so much. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to press this down against the other part of my hand, just so it really sticks to the other hand. Okay, this clay is wet enough that I don't have to do a technique called hatching to make it stick. It's wet, so I think I can just press it down against there. Now, if I lost some of my texture, I can take my texture back and I can press it down in there again. See, in there I've got my texture back because I had pressed it out with my fingers, and I think I lost some of it here too. There, now I have that texture back. look around, see if there's any other places that you need to put your texture back in. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And there is your bowl. Now, we want to make sure everybody has their name on it, so you're going to get a little piece of tape and we're going to put it on the bowl itself. Once this dries, it should be able to pop right out of there. I'm going to press this hand down just a little bit more to make sure it's the shape of the bowl. You want it up against the edges of your bowl. Okay, this one's up a little bit higher than this side, but it's really not too bad. If you can get it more in the middle, that's going to work as a bowl a little bit better. So I might even adjust it just a little bit. See, now this time I can pick the whole thing up because it's stuck together and then just kind of move it over. There, that works pretty good because that fits a little bit better. So now I'm going to press it back down in so it's the shape of the bowl. And if I need to add some texture back in, I can add some texture. Just be careful with this because it's tempting to push down too hard. Okay, because that made kind of a deep hole right there. I hope it didn't break through. I think it's okay. And then add some of these textures back in. I think that's pretty good. All right, so there's our bowl, and you're going to have your hands like this. Remember, thumbs out. So let's get started.